Kinsey Schofield with our Royal Roundup, host of the Majesty podcast, founder of todiefordaily.com, joins me to continue dissecting some of these Sunday royal stories. Steve has sent a tweet saying, if it annoys Harry and Meghan, I'd anoint Mr Blobby at the coronation. I mean, do you think it's going to... So we're reflecting on the story this morning that the soon-to-be-known Queen Camilla, the consort, is being dropped. Queen Camilla will be having 5 members of her own grandchildren, not directly related to the royal family, who will be taking an active role, a very important role, in the coronation. Is that going too far, or is this just nice that it's giving Camilla a family connection? That's what is also going to be an extremely important day in her life.
I'm torn on this because I think that that's kind, the way you ended that. You know, this is just a nice personal touch. But, you know, the oil and the canopy, they are to shield her from the world, because this is a moment between her and God.
Yeah.
You know, this is a sacred religious moment. You know, knowing the history, knowing the backstory, doesn't it feel kind of hypocritical? I mean, am I being cruel in saying that this was a relationship that started not on the best terms? He was married to someone else.
If you were going to have that view, which is it's a fair view, you'd have to have that view of Charles. I mean, Charles has to believe that Charles has been chosen by God. I mean, that is what he has to believe, that anyone who is going to be monarch has to believe that they have been chosen and anointed by God to be the leader of the Church of England, and that is their divine right, and that is why they have been chosen. And, I mean, if you were going to blame anyone who... If you were going to look at who could be arguably seen as worse in the eyes of religion in that respect, it would undoubtedly be Charles.
But I think that we were kind of over this conversation. But to have 5 individuals that technically share DNA with Andrew Parker Bowles, it almost reminds us, brings the scandal to the forefront. I mean, the scandal is already there, but I just think the addition of this, because I'm not going to be the only one that sees that Camilla has her family there, her grandchildren there, but Archie and Lily are very likely not going to be there. I'm not going to be the only one that sees that and that says, well, that's interesting. Maybe Harry was right about some of his I don't ever repeat that I said this, but there are going to be some people that go, I wonder if Harry's feelings were valid.
Of course, you know? in Spare, Harry talks a lot about how, I mean, he more or less says it, that a lot of the stories that got leaked, he blames Camilla, and he blames Camilla's office. He thinks that Camilla, not only Camilla's office, William's office as well, but he believes that Camilla's office and Camilla was leaking private conversations to the press, and a lot of these sources came from her office. So if he believes that, you're quite right, he will see this as a massive snub. But if she is going to be queen, then isn't there an argument to say that for one part of the ceremony, members of her family should be involved?
I don't know.
Because who else would do it? I mean, who else would you have doing it then? Charles's family or Charles's... who else would you have doing it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I would have members of, you know, could Sophie not be involved? There are close members of the royal family that are acting, respected royal members of the royal family that could have a place there. You know, I believe it's duchesses that typically do it.
But then, but then again, is this not perhaps then a reflection on a more accessible coronation? You know, it's reported Camilla doesn't want duchesses; she wants members of her family. I mean, some might argue that that's nicer. That's like that's making it a more intimate affair rather than the grandiose affair that might be seen again in a cost of living crisis. Oh, I'm surrounded by duchesses. I don't know.
Well, another point that could be made in their favor is, we're not all dysfunctional. Look, we are close. The one that keeps rattling off is rare. So, I mean, to their credit, perhaps the point is we are a loving family. We are a close family. You're seeing the one example of somebody who doesn't necessarily get along with everybody else. They're just the loudest. So perhaps that's what the purpose of this is. Truly, I mean, I'm not saying my points are right. I'm not saying that what Camilla's decided to do is wrong. I'm just offering up, here are some observations I'm making, and this might be the opposition.
Is it a mistake, bearing in mind the affection that the Queen Elizabeth II was held in? And when you think of the words the Queen, you immediately think of Elizabeth II. Is it a mistake to not maintain the title Queen Consort for Camilla? Not necessarily because of any history of Camilla and Charles and Diana and any of that, but simply because the last queen we had was held in such high affection.
Yeah, I mean, an unbelievable, unreplaceable icon. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I believe that it is confusing because when you watch just some of these pop culture shows, there's one, I can't remember the name, but it's a great show about, the origin story of Batman's butler. And he's talking, and he saves the Queen or has an affair with the Queen. And of course, she looks like a young Queen Elizabeth. But, the Queen is such a pop culture icon. Even think of her with that cute little Bond skit that she did. I do think I don't know if the word mistake is correct, but it certainly is an interesting choice. And I think it's a choice that's been heavy on King Charles's heart for decades. I think he always intended for Camilla to be, because remember, don't forget, when they got married, they told the media that she never intended to take the Queen Consort title. She intended to take the Princess Consort title upon King Charles ascending to the throne. I think that even then they intended for her to be Queen Camilla. I don't think they ever intended for her to be Princess Consort. I don't think that they thought Queen Consort would last for very long. The only reason why I'm comfortable with this is because I would like to consider Catherine Queen and not Queen Consort, and it opens the door for the Princess of Wales, Catherine, to then be Queen Catherine, the Queen, versus Queen Consort, Catherine.
So I would have still done that because no, I would have done. I would have made Catherine Queen, and then there would have been a punctuation point between Queen and Queen. And do you see what I mean? Because Camilla will be Queen Consort probably for at least a couple of decades, I would imagine. They do tend to live quite a long time, these royals, and the world looks after, they have a nice life. So I think that then by the time Kate becomes queen, then she will be the queen, because there would have been a long enough punctuation, a period of time between the Queen Consort, the Queen again, and also that perhaps because of her background, and I'm not saying it in a negative way or she's being punished, that is why you are Queen Consort, because this is your second marriage to the king.
Well, not only that, but that's what they promised us. That's what they promised us. And I just want to state too, because sometimes people get upset at me. I respect Camilla immensely. Obviously,
I like Camilla now. I couldn't stand her years ago, but I actually think, look, she makes him happy, and she clearly does. And their marriage, I think, has now lasted far longer than the marriage to. Because when did they marry? 2005, so that's 18 years ago. And the marriage to Diana, well, they were separated within 9 years, and they were divorced within 15 or so years. So their marriage has lasted longer than his marriage to Diana. Not only that,
I think that Diana says the last time they were together physically was Harry. So my goodness, that's only a few years into the marriage. That's got to be what I think. William was maybe 3 when Harry, 2 or 3 when Harry was born.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is an awfully long time to have to play that part and not feel like you're really in that relationship. But I completely agree with you. They seem to be made for each other, soulmates.
Yeah.
They eat each other out. She's got a great sense of humor. She's very funny. I do like them together. I think that they were meant for each other. But I also, one of the things I love about the royal family, the tradition that they're held to a higher standard than we are, and that's why they do receive, you know, this lifestyle that we don't get. And so when they break from some of those traditions, I go, hey, wait, this is why you're special. This is why you're special to some of us, because this is how it was done 2,000 years ago or 1,000 years ago or whatever. So that's my argument here. And if you agree with me, fine. If you disagree with me, fine. But that's the only reason why I have some of these thoughts.
Okay, back to the coronation again as well,
fine.
Because we have to talk about the story, because who on earth is going to perform? So Harry Styles has turned it down.
Katie Price.
Katie Price. Katie and Peter Andre can do their duet again. Harry Styles, Elton John, the Spice Girls were even approached. You know, they were being brought out of cryogenic stasis to perform. They have also turned it down.
Adele has turned it down, and Ed Sheeran has turned it down.
I mean, take that. That's basically who they're approaching now. Kylie and Danny Minogue, nice Australian element as well. Let's keep them happy. Kylie would be a good call. She's a huge international star.
You know, I was trying to get Five back together. Slam dunk the funk, baby, when the lights go out.
Could you imagine? I tell you who, oh my word, Bucks Fizz. Bucks Fizz, they won the 1981 Eurovision. Bucks Fizz, you never heard of Bucks Fizz?
No, I thought you were cursing.
No, Bucks Fizz. Go online, right, Kinsey Schofield, because you love British culture. Bucks Fizz in 1981 won the Eurovision Song Contest for the United Kingdom, and I think we've only won once since then, actually. You know, they are staples of pop culture, and what better way to celebrate Britain than having a Eurovision winner perform? 1981, Bucks Fizz. That's my bet.
Is this like the American equivalent of William Hung? She bangs, she bangs. Is that like Bucks Fizz?
Yes. No, what is it? It's a boy-girl group. Two girls, two boys, and they sing a song called "Making Your Mind Up." And there's a natty little thing that happens in the song, which I think was the thing that made them win. But I'll show you. It's during the performance. You've got to look it up online. 1981.
I wasn't born yet, but I cannot wait to see this. Remember, like, what's that other girl group? Say You Will, Say Lovey. What was that group?
That was Bewitched.
Bewitched.
I mean, you are an absolute encyclopedia of crap 90s bands, aren't you?
Oh, let's
you
get
really
Billy Piper back. Why are you gonna play that song so loud? And Prince Charles is like this, because we want to, because we want to.
Cleopatra, you bring back Cleopatra. Bewitched 5. Oh my word! Like, it would basically. So we're just going to take Charles to Gay Pride. That's basically what we're going to do, because that's where they all perform. So we're going to turn the coronation into Gay Pride, the mighty hoopla. Brilliant. All right, I'm down with that.
I am there. Front row.
I am down with that. Listen, Kinsey Schofield, good to talk to you as always. Royal commentator.